that CSR needs to be part of this treaty. Therefore, Madam Speaker, what I want to say is that we need to think beyond the peanuts that this agreement is giving us in terms of employment of a few people. And lastly, Madam Speaker, this issue of Wanjiru is more than just death. It is, for me, an affront on the dignity of a Kenyan. And the fact that the British soldiers can come here and kill us, kill one of us, and then they take that officer who allegedly did the killing has been taken back to their country, and then they tell us that the investigation is not sufficient. I think this is really an affront on the dignity of an African. And we must continue to reject the continuous domination of the white man on our land, on the back of saying that they're giving us some peanuts, some employment of 500 people, some, CSR, what the women rep was saying here, that they are, some little things. So, Madam Speaker, the philosophy behind these agreements is what this Parliament needs to focus on, not the little benefits that the British people are giving us. Otherwise, I support.
Member for Nakuru Town East.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I arise to support this report. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Chair and his team for the very elaborate work that they did. Honorable Speaker, it's not easy. The last time we were doing some treaties here, we were told that you cannot be able to change even a comma or a sentence. But I want to agree that the committee has looked into the agreement, and on page 3, somewhere, the committee did look into that and has said that they will either adopt or approve through the National Assembly with or without reservation. And I think that is something that is very important for this House, that documents are not just brought here as a conveyor belt. They are brought here to be scrutinized, and where we think there is a problem, then that problem is sorted. And I want to thank the committee that in their report, they have looked into some very critical aspects, which most of the time are not looked into. And one of the issues, among others, there's so many that they were looking, it is about the protection of the environment. And Honorable Speaker, it is important to talk about our environment. And whatever activity is done in this country that affects our environment, it might even eat up into the gains that we normally get from this kind of activities. So I want to agree that the committee, having looked at, among other things, they were concerned about the environmental effect that the British and the Northern Ireland military activity happens in Laikipia. Honorable Speaker, it is true, as Mheshimiwa Murungara was saying, they are known as if they are the ones who have kept alive Laikipia and more so Nanyuki town itself. And we want to appreciate, much as there are those issues which are emerging, is that we also as a country do benefit. And I remember in the last Parliament, and it's a little bit unfortunate, Honorable Speaker, that this report was tabled in 2021. And it has taken that long for it to be able to get to this level and get an approval. And Honorable Speaker, these are some of the things we want to think as Parliament, that we should be allowed to proceed from where the last government had reached, so that again we don't take too much. But I want to thank the committee that within 6 months they have been able to revisit this issue, and they have been able to make a report that has been brought to. But a little bit of it, and one of the issues that the committee did allude to the fact that there are those offenses which the host country cannot be able to prosecute. And I think it is important, Honorable Speaker, for us to really think. And I want to thank the committee that among the few recommendations that they did put, one of the issues is that the agreement should be amended by inserting a new paragraph immediately after paragraph H to include murder as one of the offenses which are under the jurisdiction of the host nation. And I want to agree with the committee. Honorable Chair, we cannot allow, if it was an ordinary Kenyan out there in Britain, by now he would be languishing in their jails. But somebody just walks here and all of a sudden they commit that crime, and again, it's not fair. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the committee for taking their time and more so even scrutinizing and the few amendments that they have proposed. I hope it will be included in the report. We would want to thank the committee very much that it is all about protecting Kenyans and not what we gain, the little money that we gain from the few shillings that they spend in some clubs. That not help us a lot. It only helps a few people, and maybe not ladies only, but maybe others. But also I want to thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me this opportunity today, because we come from the same county, and you are a great lady. I wish you the next Parliament.
Thank you. Your time is up, Honorable Gekaria. As directed by the Speaker, it's now 5 p.m. This debate will proceed in the consequent sitting on this specific motion. Now we'll go to the adjournment motion by the leader of minority, Honorable Wandai. You will have 10 minutes. Every other speaker will have strictly 5 minutes. This motion will not be seconded. I'm just saying that for those ones who are volunteering to second. This Honorable Pio Wandai.
How many minutes do I have? 20?
Yes.
20, okay.
You have
20.
You have 10 minutes.
Only 10.
10 minutes only. Every other speaker, 5 minutes, strictly.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Of course, I am rising under Standing Order 33, 1 of the standing orders, to move this motion. Madam Speaker, as I alluded to earlier on, we are facing unprecedented times in this country. Madam Speaker, it is the first time in the history of this country, since we attained our independence way back in 1963, that the government of the Republic of Kenya has failed to pay its workers, specifically civil servants, their salaries. As we speak, we have got thousands and thousands of workers who are yet to receive their March salaries. And today we are on the 11th of April, Madam Speaker. And there is no indication as to when these salaries will be paid, if at all they'll be paid, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are advised that a nation or a country is like a going concern. It's like a going concern, really. But any time, and accountants here can tell you, any time a going concern fails or defaults in paying its workers, it is basically teetering on bankruptcy. And therefore, it will be safe to say that Kenya is almost becoming bankrupt, if it is not yet bankrupt, Madam Speaker. And this is no idle talk. This is very serious matter, Madam Speaker. This is very serious matter, Madam Speaker. That this country is becoming bankrupt as we watch, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is not just about salary delays. As we speak, the county governments, the 47 of them, are facing serious financial crunch. Out of the 370 billion shillings, which is the equitable share that was supposed to go to the counties in this financial year, 2 months before the end of the financial year, only 141 billion shillings has been disbursed, Madam Speaker. And county governments are unable to pay their employees, leave alone providing essential services to the people of this country, Madam Speaker. As a matter of fact, there has been no remittance to the counties for the entire period of January to April this year, which is unprecedented. Even when we had the worst situation of COVID-19, this never happened, Madam Speaker. we would be forgiven to imagine that we are under some sort of war. What possibly could be happening, Madam Speaker? That's the question we're asking this afternoon, Madam Speaker. Above all, nearly all development projects have come to a halt. They have gone to a halt on account of lack of money, Madam Speaker. But this is the question we're asking. Where has the money gone? Madam Speaker, according to the estimates of revenue, grants and loans for the year ending 30th June this year, which we approved in this House last year, KRA had a target of 2.1 trillion shillings to collect in form of tax revenues. As at the end of February, KRA has only been able to collect 1.2 trillion shillings, which essentially amounts to 57% of the target. And yesterday we were being told through some unsigned statement, which ostensibly came from KRA in the name of acting Commissioner General. It was unsigned. I believe it was fake. That statement was saying that the KRA has been able to collect 95% of its target, or attain 95% of its original target. That can't be true, because the tax revenue target can only be approved by this House. And I can confirm to you that even in the supplementary estimates which we passed here a couple of weeks ago, there was no variation in this target of tax revenue, Madam Speaker. And therefore KRA has fallen short of its target, Madam Speaker. If they are disputing this, let them come out tomorrow and dispute these facts. I can tell you. I'll be happy to face them all head on. Madam Speaker, we have heard contradictory statements emanating from KRA. One from the chairman of the board of directors of KRA, one Anthony Maura. He's on record saying that he's trying to drain the swamp in KRA, that there are officers in KRA who are predisposed to steal public money, and therefore he has to remove them, Madam Speaker. And yet the statement which supposedly came from KRA yesterday was disputing this fact. So who do we believe? Do we believe the KRA Board of Directors Chairman, or do we believe the KRA Commissioner General? Madam Speaker, who do we believe? Who do we believe? Madam Speaker, and if not to believe the Commissioner General, what the hell is the Chairman of the KRA Board, who is supposed to be a ceremonial office holder, doing in issuing out executive orders, Madam Speaker? In any case, Madam Speaker, there are serious integrity issues surrounding the chairperson of KRA. I will table a report now. I will table this, therefore. Madam Speaker, on the 5th of October 2022, the Kenya Revenue Authority wrote to the Director, National Water Harvesting and Storage Authority regarding agency suspension notice on Todi Civil Engineering Company Limited, business number 154472. Madam Speaker, this letter had the effect of shutting down the account of Todi Civil Engineering Company Limited on account of tax evasion. This letter was written on 5th October and signed off by Mr. Paul Kirui, the Debt Manager, Medium Taxpayers Office, Madam Speaker, Corporate Taxpayer Account Management Division, Domestic Taxes Department. The upshot of this is that even as this gentleman was being appointed as the chairman of the board of directors of KRA, he had issues to do with tax evasion concerning his own company. Madam Speaker,
what's your point of order?
I am not aware if this issue was ever resolved.
Because order, Bwandai. What is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, the leader of minority is discussing a letter which is not in circulation, which he has not tabled before this House, and therefore I think you can't bring a document that is not been tabled before the Madam Speaker. So I think it's out of order to discuss something that is not tabled before this House.
You know, Honorable Kosi knows very well that I've been in this House long enough.
Order, Honorable Andai.
Just as long as I have also been here, my friend.
Order, Honorable Andai. Order, Honorable Andai. Regardless of how long we have been in this House, I think we should follow our standing orders, ensure that any document you refer to is substantiated, and also refer to your own motion on the issues that we are discussing. Substantiate, and it has to be tabled and be property of the House if it's to be discussed.
Madam Speaker, I table. You can scrutinize it, and I've got extra copies here for Honorable Kosi and the rest. Madam Speaker, my time is not yet even halfway. Madam Speaker, even if we were to assume that the KRA is right in their suggestion that they ever achieve their target, then where is the money? Next week I'll be coming back here to discuss more about National Treasury, Madam Speaker. And therefore, it behoves the KRA and the National Treasury to tell us where our taxpayers' money has gone. Because for the first time in this country, we are failing to meet our very basic obligations as a country. Madam Speaker, as we speak, there is a threat already issued of retrenchment of hapless, poor civil servants. Madam Speaker, it was issued last night by none other than the chairman of the Economic Advisory, whatever. Madam Speaker, David Lee had the audacity to say that he is going to recommend retrenchment of poor civil servants. How dare you retrench poor workers? How dare you retrench poor hustlers while recruiting and appointing a necessary number of COS? How dare you retrench workers while creating offices for your spouses? How dare you retrench poor workers while buying expensive cars and...
What is your point of order? Member for
I rise pursuant to standing order number 91. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, standing order number 91, its heading says responsibility for statement of fact. Madam Speaker, I have just noticed when I just walked in, I was shown this document which has been circulated to members and which is purportedly tabled by the Honorable Wandai, the minority leader. It's a letter that is addressed to the Director, National Water Harvesting and Storage Authority. It talks about agency suspension notice to the Civil Engineering Company Limited. Madam Speaker, I was at the House Business Committee. I've looked at the motion of the minority leader. This letter has no relevance at all to the motion that is prosecuting and purporting to execute. Would I be in order? Would I be in order, Madam Speaker? Would I be in order, Madam Speaker? Would I be in order, Madam Speaker? You know, the difference between me and the Honorable John Mbadi is that he's a lawmaker and I'm a lawyer. So I multitask. So, and this is not your relevant field. Your field, I'm both a lawmaker and a lawyer. So you better listen to me. Listen first. So, Madam Speaker.
Wind up on the point of order.
Yes, would I be in order? You know, the only thing, Madam Speaker, is people shouting at you. You know, every civilized community listens. In fact, they say, if he reads the Bible says listen. The Bible says listen. So, you know, people need to listen. You know, one of the virtues of wisdom is listening. So,
if you have a point of order, please prosecute the point of order so that we are orderly. Yes, so that we are in. You have 1 minute. Finish up.
Madam Speaker, you know, the Honorable Wandai cannot purport to be standing and interrupting me when I'm raising a point of order. He cannot be the one concluding. Honorable Speaker.
You are already on your feet.
Honorable Speaker, this purported notice has no relevance at all to the motion that is being moved by the Honorable Wandai. And would I be in order, Madam Speaker, to request the Honorable Wandai to withdraw or you expunge this particular purported tabling of documents that are irrelevant to the motion, that it be completely taken out of this debate? I thank you.
Madam Speaker, I was getting worried that Honorable Chepkonga is usurping your power and mandate. Madam Speaker, I am very much relevant because I am talking about failure of the government of Kenya to meet its financial obligations, which failure is attributable to possible theft of money. And therefore, at the core of this theft could be integrity, the integrity of those who are in charge of KRA.
Order.
And the National Treasury.
Order.
So I am perfectly in order.
Order. I was actually going through your motion. Please take your seat. I was going through your motion, and I was also going through the letter that you have tabled, because we are a house of order, we are a house of debate. And this one, the letter you have tabled, is actually directed to National Water Harvesting and Storage Authority. Let us adhere to the rules of debate. This matter, if it's an issue of companies, we have committees in this house. In fact, all the oversight committees are led by the minority side. So I would actually say that the relevance to this, what we are discussing today, there is no congruence at all. There is no congruence. So I would... Order, members. Order, members. Order, members. Order. It is okay to ventilate, but this is a house of record. I will direct that you withdraw this letter officially and formally and prosecute your motion. You have a balance of 2 minutes, and then we will have 5 minutes for every member.
Let me say this. If you find this letter inadmissible, you can simply go ahead and expunge it. But I can't withdraw it, you know very well. You know, I am not the person who can do irregular things. This letter is at the core of the issues in KRA. And I want you to confirm or disapprove the fact that this company belongs to the chairman of the KRA Board of Directors.
Honorable Chepkonga, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, this is a house of rules. I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 91. You know, this is a house of rules. You know, when the minority leader, who is supposed to observe decorum in this house and rules of procedure, and then threatens the speaker and tells the speaker, you can overrule me, but I'm not going to withdraw. That in itself, Madam Speaker, is throwing, and you know, Madam Speaker, how can we listen to a senior leader of the standing of Honorable Wandai threatening the speaker and
Honorable Chepkonga, I will persuade you to tell you I'm also a seasoned politician. I am not a new member in this house, so I do not actually need protection, but I will actually need Honorable Pio Wandai to actually adhere to that ruling. You will withdraw this letter, you will continue with the motion, and we will continue with the debate, and the rules of relevance will be adhered to.
Madam Speaker, you can only withdraw a statement you have made on the floor of the House if it is inappropriate. You cannot withdraw a document. A document, if it's admissible, you just expunge. Just expunge. And therefore, I'm not withdrawing anything. Madam Speaker, I conclude now.
Order, members.
Yes.
I therefore rule that this document is not admissible and will be expunged from the records of the House.
Fine. Madam Speaker, let me conclude. that we cannot run away from the problems we are facing as a country. The government which is in power cannot run away from the problems that face the country by continuously scapegoating, by continuously backpassing to the old regime. There is this tired narrative of the handshake regime, handshake government. It is on record that there has never been a government known as handshake in this country. The past government was led by none other than Uhuru Kenyatta and deputized by none other than William Samoei Ruto. For 5 good years, you must take responsibility for the good things that government did and also own up for the bad deeds of that government. You cannot scapegoat. You cannot continue to find a scapegoat in Raila Amolo Odinga. We must caution you that scapegoating will...
Your time is up. This debate, for those who have just come in, we will have 5 minutes for every member. Anytime you get a chance, you have 5 minutes. We will start with the member for Endebess, Honorable Robert Pukose.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is true that the economy is not doing well. But it is also true that we got ourselves in this position because of the previous government. Madam Speaker, when President Ruto took power, we remember that the government was broke. And we cannot run away from that. It is true, the government is not performing well. But it is true that that government got itself in that position because of the previous government. So you cannot run away from that. When President Ruto took over, the prices of unga was 250. Everything was skyrocketing. The country was sliding in the wrong direction. So we should give credit where it is due. We are on the right track from that recovery. And it's because of the economic remedies or positions which the government has done. We remember that the previous government borrowed left and right. You cannot say that we are paying everything, but we are paying through debts. We are paying through borrowing. So you cannot come and you cannot continue borrowing to pay for salaries. That is wrong. And therefore, you can, and having failed yourselves, because you are part of that government, through Raila Odinga, through the handshake, you cannot say now that you have a remedy for it. You don't. You don't, because the methods you prescribed. Let's talk of the subsidies that were there. The subsidy for unga, which was put there, never reached anybody. We went to the supermarkets, there was no unga. Yeah? Subsidies were put on fuel, but those subsidies did not benefit the fuel distributors. Instead, it benefited the fuel dealers. And people ended up opening more companies
Member for
so that they could pay
what is your
more
point of
money.
order?
No, Mbadi is sitting very well. Madam Speaker, the speaker on the floor is a friend of mine, a renowned doctor. And that's precisely why he must speak facts while on the floor of the House. I have heard him talk about mentioning names and talking about previous governments and saying that you are part of it. Can the speaker, can the person who is on the floor tell us exactly how Raila ever entered in that government and what role did he play in that government? How does it culminate into this discussion, and who was responsible for that executive in that government? If he cannot, I would invite you, Madam Speaker, to respectfully find him out of order and to ask him to withdraw those comments.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, the People's Chief Justice. You know very well.
Honorable Pukose, have you mentioned
Raila Odinga?
Yes, and I think
no, the Raila Odinga has been mentioned by the People's Chief Justice, and he knows very well that Raila Odinga facilitated state capture through the handshake. And he's the one who saw Raila Odinga in Uhuru back.
Order members.
And that's how Raila Odinga got himself into government through you are swearing in.
Order, Honorable Pukose. I think, honorable members, however emotive this issue is, we are a house of records. So let us follow our rules. Make sure you do not discuss a member without a motion, and I think we will be orderly and disciplined that way. So let us keep it to the motion, okay? Member for Endebess, please continue and finish up. You have a few minutes to go.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to state categorically that we cannot blame the government that has not even implemented this budget. The budget that we are currently implementing is the budget of the former government. What we've only done is to do supplementary budget to try and align with the government agenda.
Your time is up. Member for Kathiani, Honorable Robert Mbui.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. First, I want to begin by thanking the leader of the minority for noting that Kenyans are suffering and coming up with this very, very timely motion, because Kenyans will now be able to watch and know those representatives that care for them and those that do not care. Madam Speaker, first and foremost, I want to just say that during the last campaigns, because we came from campaigns last year, this Kenya Kwanza administration promised heaven on earth. But Madam Speaker, the current situation is actually hell on earth. Madam Speaker, the cost of unga is still high, the cost of electricity is going higher, the cost of fuel is high. Now we have started issues of delaying of salaries, something that has never happened to this house since 1963 when we got our independence. Yes. Madam Speaker, it is happening now under the watch of this current regime of Kenya Kwanza. Madam Speaker, we have heard that there are threats to even retrench employees of the civil service without any plan. Madam Speaker, it is such a problem. Madam Speaker, even as we speak now, members of parliament who are on their first term, second term, third term may probably be facing no re-election because there is no CDF. Out of the money of CDF, Madam Speaker, almost 100 million is still owed to all constituencies. Our counties are also crying. Madam Speaker, we have economic meltdown of the Republic of Kenya. Madam Speaker, what solutions is Kenya Kwanza offering? The answer is none. What they have done is they're just pushing, blaming other people. And Madam Speaker, I'm very happy because the issue of Uhuru and Raila has been mentioned. And they keep telling us that they found empty coffers. I think money was stolen. Let me say, Madam Speaker, that this regime must respect the rule of law. If anyone steals money, they control the police, they control EACC, they control DCI, they control DPP. Let them arrest the people that they keep talking about. Yes. Otherwise, we cannot keep, shifting blame on people that are not responsible for the problems that this country is facing. And Madam Speaker, let me tell you, last night on a Monday report, the economic advisor to the president was on TV. I am telling you, Madam Speaker, what he said is that this regime does not take advice. He said this regime is wasteful. He said this regime has excesses of employing COSs, has excesses of buying vehicles for leadership, has excesses of giving sponsors and children offices. Madam Speaker,
Order, Honorable Mbui. Order. Leader of majority, what is your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, you know, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Robert Mbui had gone very well until he started misrepresenting facts and statements by people who are not in this house, like the advisor to the President, Dr. David D. And indeed, he has asserted that Dr. D spoke about this regime. And we all watched Dr. D. And we have been listening to Dr. D. And Dr. D was talking about governments. He never spoke about this regime. Honorable Speaker, if I can get your attention. Honorable Speaker, I was indulging you so that you can get consult with the clerk. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Robert Mbui must state in this house what are facts and not twist the words of others to suit what is otherwise a very parochial statement in an otherwise very deep discussion. And you know, the Honorable Robert Mbui fractured his leg in 2017 in demonstrations, and I have been encouraging him. This is the forum to speak to matters about the cost of living,
Majority
not in the streets.
What is your point of order?
Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I was standing on the number 91 on statement of fact that the Honorable Mbui cannot mislead the House. And you know, he's a seasoned parliamentarian and a good man. The Honorable Robert Mbui is an otherwise good man. In 2017, when he followed the others, he fractured his leg. This time I warned him and I advised him, and I am glad he heeded my advice.
Order.
He has not.
Honorable Ishongwa. Honorable Ishongwa, I think we have alluded to TV shows in this house once in a while. So I think what Honorable Mbui just alluded to is a show for yesterday. Please continue, Honorable Mbui.
Madam Speaker, I'm still wondering what my broken leg has anything to do with the cost of living. But finally, David D. did say that politics is very expensive, and the Kenya Kwanza admin needs to recover the money that they spent in the last campaigns. So, Madam Speaker, I think that Kenyans are in trouble, and I wish that they can listen to us so we can give them some advice to move the country forward. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Other members. We'll now go to the member for Baringo, Honorable Florence Jematia.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. And I want to contribute to this motion before the floor on cost of living in Kenya. Once again, I want to say all of us are living in this year of 2023, and we all know the problems of Kenya was caused not only this year, but it has been there for a while. I want to remind the member on the floor, or the leader of the motion, leader of minority, that in fact he diverted by bringing a less part of cost of living.
That was already expunged. Please debate to the motion.
Okay. Protect me, Honorable Speaker.
You are protected. Please continue. You have the floor.
Thank you, thank you. The cost of living in Kenya is not caused by a one-man called the government, President of Kenya today. It has been caused by many things. First of all, we are looking at international problems. We are also having the climate change. Yes, because we are part of the universe, this universe. We are also and Madam Speaker, if you look at what the member on the floor is trying to do, is giving us an impression that they woke up this day and realized that the cost of living is so high, and this cost of living is because of the regime that was there before us.
What is your point of order, Leader of Majority?
Honorable Speaker, the entire country is watching us. And the motion that has been brought by the leader of minority is a very important motion. And the issues that we are deliberating on are the issues that we have been elected by the people of Kenya to come and transact here. Issues that are concerned to the people. And I think Article 94 to 96 of the Constitution speaks heavily about our role as members of Parliament to address matters that are of concern to the people. And Honorable Speaker, it is sad that the Honorable Jamatia, and we understand, is a new member in the House. But it is rather unfair, Honorable Speaker, for the Honorable TJ Kajuang, the Honorable John Buddy, the Honorable Robert Mbui, the owner of the motion, the Honorable Opio Andai, to be shouting at the Honorable Jamatia to try. You know, for someone like me, you can shout all you want. You will not dissuade me from saying what I will say. I will still say it. For a lady, a beautiful lady, and I know they're enjoying the view from where they are seated.
Honorable Ishongwa, I believe Honorable Jamatia brings more than just the view to this house, but more importantly, let us observe decorum. I can see seasoned members of this house. Let us observe decorum so that every member can be heard and we can debate this motion as we should. Honorable Jamatia.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And again, I want to say this is one of the problems why we are having the high cost of living. It is because when we want to discuss issues like this, we have the people who have gone to school, have all the brains, wasting it by not giving us solutions on why what we are supposed to be doing better. As I speak to you, Honorable Speaker, to this House, we are so seriously focused on building the economy by by planting. It's our planting season, but you realize as much as we are focused on going to the farms, I am so surprised that I have not seen our colleagues here showing interest that something is being done to this country. And by the way, Honorable Speaker, you can be an opposition leader, but you still be able to be a patriot. You don't have to be always against the government. And when issues of government is being discussed,
your time is up. Member for Dagoretti South.
Honorable Speaker, I do thank you for this opportunity. And in the same breath, I'd like to really thank the Honorable Opio Andai for bringing such a timely issue to the floor of the House so that it can be debated in the right place, Madam Speaker. A few weeks back, this city witnessed a lot of destruction in the name of fighting for the cost of living. However, we have a constitution that mandates this House to address matters that concern Kenyans and resolve them. So this matter is properly before the House, it's properly in the right place, and for that I thank the leader of minority. Madam Speaker, the cost of living has become an issue in this country, not today. Madam Speaker, the sponsor of this motion belongs to a formation that has a leader. And the leader of this formation, just a few short months ago, told us that the cost of living is not an issue. At that point, they were in government. They knew what was happening. They knew how we got here. Madam Speaker, how we got here did not happen in the last 6 months, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we had a dispensation that at its prime was borrowing in excess of 2 billion Kenya shillings a day.
Honorable KJ, what is your point of order, Honorable Mbui?
Madam Speaker, I've listened keenly to the honorable member, and he has indicated that those people were in government. Madam Speaker, he has to be very specific. Who is he referring to? Because I have been here, this is my 3rd term, and I've always been in opposition. Madam Speaker, let him confirm and clarify.
Continue, Honorable KJ.
Madam Speaker, allow me not to delve into this because this is a very serious motion, Madam Speaker, and we might not do justice to the people who brought us to this house if we dwelt on pettiness, Madam Speaker. The issues are major. Let us state them, let us find the remedy, and let us start working towards the remedy. Madam Speaker, I was saying that at the height of our excessive borrowing, we were borrowing in excess of 2 billion Kenya shillings a day, Madam Speaker. That is how we found ourselves in a situation where we were borrowing to do recurrent expenditure. That is how we found ourselves borrowing monies that were not good loans, very expensive loans to pay salaries, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, at our prime, there were heists and theft happening in government, Madam Speaker. Blatant theft. We are talking about the Kemsa haste, Madam Speaker. We know what happened, Madam Speaker, when we were trying to change the constitution through a modality called BBI, Madam Speaker. At a time when the country was struggling to make ends meet, we were ready to spend 12 billion Kenya shillings to just create positions in this country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we cannot remedy the situation if we cannot look back and see where the rain started beating us, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when the shoe changed from one foot to the other, others found it more convenient to go to the streets, Madam Speaker, visiting untold destruction upon this city, Madam Speaker. The individuals who would visit the low-income areas of this city, Madam Speaker, cause chaos, cause death, cause anarchy, theft, and pilferage, Madam Speaker, and end up in the evening high-fiving each other in some air-conditioned clubs in this city, Madam Speaker. After they've left those people they purport to be speaking on behalf of in the agony that they put themselves in, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is important to note that this government has been in power for 6 months. In those 6 months, the changes are amazing, Madam Speaker. And I understand the frustration and why one would be keen to distract this government because they realize what is happening, Madam Speaker. That if the plans that are underway are able to be established and implemented, Madam Speaker, we will have a new country. Mine is to call us as a house to see the problem that is on the ground, start identifying solutions, and Madam Speaker, in the spirit of bipartisanism, we might find some solutions that can emanate from this house, Madam Speaker, and start alleviating the cost of living and start giving solutions to the problems that we're talking about. But that will call for objectivity.
Thank you, Honorable KJ. Honorable John Badi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity and also to thank the minority leader for bringing this timely motion. Madam Speaker, I want to speak as a professional and as a finance expert. Where we are today did not happen yesterday. It is true, and no one can deny, that the unchecked borrowing starting from 2013 to date has brought us to partly to where we are. That cannot be denied. And I will tell you for a fact, we have spoken every financial year in this house. I have personally contributed in every budget speech condemning unchecked borrowing. Now we are here, we should have known that when the shilling depreciates, then the debt will rise automatically. If you are paying 900 billion per year, you will pay 1.2 trillion today because the shilling is exchanging at 130 and not at 100 shillings a few months ago. Madam Speaker, I want to also say that having said that, I also talked here when Kenya Kwanza took over leadership. And I said that this is not the time to politic. This is not the time to remind us of what happened in the other election. And I said that this is not the time to talk about who owns what shares. What value is it to you to own shares in a crippling company, which is Kenya? It is collapsing. So what if you own shares? The Deputy President, I want to ask you, if you own shares alone and Body doesn't have shares and it is collapsing, so what? Let us avoid escapism. Let us realize that now that you are in office. Whether you came into that office through the window or the back door, you are there. You must deliver to the people of Kenya. There is no excuse. Madam Speaker, why do you keep reminding us of what happened yesterday when today President Uhuru Kenyatta left 44 PSs in office and you came in with a struggling economy and you increased the number to 51? What austerity measures? You came in to office when Uhuru Kenyatta had this CASS, which is even illegal in my view, unconstitutional. There were 23. And then today, there are 50. And you are telling us that we are on the right track, that we are waiting for tomorrow. Which right track is this? The truth of the matter is that there is no extravagance in this government.
Order, Bombadi, Leader of Majority, what is your point of order?
Again, on standing order 91, Honorable Speaker, statements of fact. The Honorable John Badi has just asserted that the CAS position is unconstitutional. And I know he could be alluding to the case that was in court, and he knows the judgment to that law, to that particular case, Honorable Speaker, and the issues that were canvassed in court and settled in court. And therefore, unless the Honorable John Badi can adduce evidence that such a position as CAS is unconstitutional, in fact, even those who went to court had an issue with the process and the appointment of the current CASs, as much as he has appointed the numbers, and that I am not arguing with him, but he cannot contend that that position is unconstitutional, because even the issue in court then was on the process. And the process within the appointment of these current CASs has been followed. And he also knows that matter is still in court, Honorable Speaker.
I only want to respond by telling William Samoei Ruto, please don't listen to Chungwa, listen to John Badi. If you want to deliver to this country, listen to me, don't listen to this your majority leader. Because, Madam Speaker, what I'm speaking is what will help this country, not these side shows. Madam Speaker, this is the time when we are talking of austerity measures, and you have a government that is buying vehicles, and there are vehicles that are enough for the public officers. This is the time we are talking about austerity measures, and there is a resumption of construction of dams through loans, which dams are just conduits for corruption. Madam Speaker, if we have to be careful and serious with our economy, let us face each other in the eye and tell each other that all Kenyans have contributed to this, and that is why we elect governments every 5 years, so that if there is mess, another government.
Your time is up. Chair, Finance Committee.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And from the onset, I'd like to thank the Honorable Pio Ndai for this very timely debate this afternoon, this evening. Madam Speaker, is the cost of living high? The answer is yes. Are we living through difficult times as a country? The answer is yes. But does the Kenya Kwanza administration have an agenda, have a solution? Let me demonstrate to you why my answer is yes. One of the ways to bring down the cost of items is through subsidies. There are two types of subsidies. You either subsidize production or subsidize consumption. For you to subsidize consumption, economic theories says particular parameters that has to be met. You must know who the producers are. You must have a clear system of how that production is going, and that does not exist, especially in our product for unga. And let me give an example. If you want to subsidize unga, do you pay the millers? Assuming if you pay the millers, how do you ascertain the amount of maize flour of unga in the mills, considering that these are private entities. Even if you would ascertain how many tons of maize flour exist in the millers, but with the millers, so that you pay them the subsidy to reduce the cost of that maize flour, there is a whole unga that is in transit at any particular time. There is a of unga that is in distributor shops, in retailer shops, in wholesaler shops. And that is why, no matter how much you try to subsidize production, where there is no clear line and where government has no control, you will fail. And that is why that failed. That is why we went to subsidizing consumption, no, subsidizing production. Who are producers of unga? Maize farmers. We know them. We register them. Now we have given fertilizer at 3,000 shillings, 3,500 shillings, so that we can bring down the cost of the production. My farmers in Molo do not want to sell their maize anything less, because they planted their maize when the cost of fertilizer was 6,000 shillings. And that is a fact. So debate all you want. Our farmers in Rift Valley are not going to agree to sell their maize at any lower price because they planted when the cost of fertilizer was 6,000 shillings. That is a fact. Until we harvest this maize, we have to deal with that small challenge. But once we harvest this maize, we deal with the problem of the price of unga. Why was the cost of living, again, the cost of goods expensive? It is because we are a net importer. So most of the items we consume, we import from other countries. So when the exchange rate of the US dollars against Kenyan shillings deteriorated, consequently it affected our cost of imports. That is a problem. But do you have a solution? The answer is yes. We looked at what is the biggest cost, where are we spending our dollars the most? And where we are spending most of our dollars is importation of oil products. Now we have an agreement with our largest supplier of oil imports in this country to be paying in Kenyan shillings. And not just that, to stagger the payment within 6 months. And therefore, consequently, you will find that you will be able to bring down the cost of fuel down, and the cost of, and subsequently, but you must have noticed that we have also been able to stabilize the Kenyan shilling. From around 135 shillings to around 120 shillings, it's going to go down to 115 shillings. When that happens, our cost of import will be less, and we'll be able to buy our products at less prices. You're telling us about taxes. The last finance bill is the one that was passed by this House, and it was passed by members of Parliament from across the political divide in the 12th Parliament. I have not brought any finance bill, and when I will do, you will see that we are reducing a lot of taxes, because you have realized that increase in taxes does not always lead to increase in how much we collect in terms of taxes. Honorable members, we have a plan. Relax. You failed. Let us fix this economy, and that I support. Thank you, my chairman.
Thank you. Kindly members, keep track of your time. It's strictly 5 minutes. There will be no additional minutes. Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And allow me, Honorable Speaker, to also congratulate the Leader of Minority for bringing this motion, and indeed encourage him and his colleagues in the minority that this is indeed the way to do it. When you have matters, as I said, that of concern to the people and even to yourselves, bring them to this assembly where we debate and we get solutions. If you have better ideas than us, if you have better ideas than this government, bring on your ideas without blackmail, and we shall carry on with the good ideas. Honorable Speaker, I've listened to the Honorable John Buddy asking very pertinent questions, and indeed contending that we did not just arrive here. There was a process as to how we got here. But Honorable Speaker, our memories are too short. Only 6 months ago, Honorable Speaker, John Buddy, as Leader of Minority, seated where Honorable Pio and I was sitting, was midwifing. Honorable Speaker, if you can protect me from this member with some funny hair. Honorable Speaker, I was saying, sitting where the Honorable Pio and I was sitting, Honorable Speaker, the Leader of Minority then was in the forefront of supporting the handshake regime in the tax laws that the Honorable Chair of Finance has alluded to. Honorable Speaker, in facilitating the state capture that got us to where we are. Those are facts. Honorable Speaker, we are being told, and I have the leader of minority saying that we are scapegoating. Honorable Pio and I, we are not scapegoating. We are simply stating facts and the painful truth as it is. You got us into this mess. Give us the time and space to fix your mess, and we have the plan on how to fix that mess. I need not repeat some of the points that have been alluded to by the Chair of Finance. Honorable Speaker, how do we get solutions, Honorable Speaker, to the problem that we are in? It is true that we are in a problem. We are in an economic hole, Honorable Speaker, that is worse than the economic hole that the Nyayo regime left us in 2002-2003. This has been worse. The state capture that was visited on this economy in the last 4 years, Honorable Speaker, is unmatched in the history not of this country, but of any civilized democracy in Africa and indeed in the world. Honorable Speaker, we will get solutions by engaging with each other, Honorable Speaker, by speaking to each other in the right forums, not in the streets, not disrupting our economy in the streets, but by doing and taking up our leadership role as the Honorable Leader of Minority has done today. And I must congratulate the Honorable Pio and I for taking leadership to bring the issue of the cost of living out of the streets into the house where we can resolve these issues. And I want to encourage you, my brother, go beyond this motion. If you have better ideas on taxation, bring them on when the tax bill comes. We will support you as we urge you to support our tax reduction measures that will revive the stalled economy, Honorable Speaker, that had stalled. Honorable Speaker, it is also true that indeed we have been borrowing to...
Order, Leader of Majority. Honorable Pio and I, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, it's not my wish to interrupt my friend Honorable Ichungwa, but is it really in order for the Honorable Ichungwa to demonize street action, whilst he knows clearly that it is through street action that we got the freedoms and rights that we enjoy currently, including talking endlessly.
Order, members. Order, members. We are now in the August house. What happens outside there is not the business of this house. Please continue.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I want to tell my brother, I am not demonizing street action. I am demonizing violence. I am demonizing anarchy. I am demonizing looting of mobs. I am demonizing looting of supermarkets. And I want to encourage you that as much as we are saying, yes, we are in a problem, Honorable Speaker, we shall not fix this problem by pretending that we can borrow to pay salaries and cater for our current expenditure. By pretending that we can borrow from Peter to pay Paul, we must live within our means, Honorable Speaker, and allow this government to act in a prudent and responsible manner in managing the economy. I heard the Honorable Mbadi asking about principal shareholding, Honorable Speaker, and I want to tell the Honorable Mbadi, Honorable Speaker, what we are saying that if you are a major shareholder, you steady the ship to make sure that that ship does not sink. My brother, our brothers, help us to steady the ship. Don't sink this ship with violence, with anarchy, with disrupting the economy. If we are to regain on the revenue losses, we can only do that when the ship is steady, when the economy is moving, not when every Monday, every Sunday, every Thursday, we are disrupting the same economy. And I want to encourage you, my brother, Honorable Pio and I, please, when the time comes at the right time, bring better ideas. We are willing and ready to listen to you. But we are not ready to be blackmailed, to take over the failed policies of subsidizing corruption-ridden consumption subsidies that fed the monster of corruption in this country. That we are not ready to. We shall not feed the monster.
Thank you, Leader of Majority. Member for Mombasa, Honorable Zamzam Chimba.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na ningependa kumwelezea Majority Leader, tuliza boli. Wakenya kule nje wanahangaika, hali ya uchumi iko mbaya. Na mimi napenda kumpongeza kiongozi wa wachache Bwana Wandai kwa kuleta mjadala huu. Ni dhahiri shairi kuwa Wakenya wanahangaika, na hata kama leo mnasema kuwa yale maandamano yalifanya uchumi kawa mbaya, hiyo ni message kwenu kuwa Wakenya wamechoka. Hiyo ni message. Ikiwa hao ndo walipa ushuru na mpaka leo wafanyikazi wanakosa mshahara, wabunge tunakaa mwezi bila kulipa mshahara, ni dhahiri shairi kuwa wale wengi wanaongea kutoka kwa mifuko yao. Kwa hiyo mimi napenda kusema hivi, hali ya uchumi imekuwa mbaya, na Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna wakati ambapo mjadala wa dharura uletwa kwenye chumba na ikajadiliwa. Yale mambo ya kusema kuwa tupeleke huku na huku itakuwa si sawa. Wakenya wanahangaika, na mimi napenda kuelezea kuwa kuenda katika maandamano ama kuzungumza katika bunge, yote mawili yamekubalika katika katiba. Na wale ambao wanazungumza wakisema kuwa Azimio sijui walienda maandamano watu wakafa, walioua hawa watu ni polisi ambao wako kwenye serikali. Na serikali nyingi hata South Africa. Mheshimiwa Spika, naomba ulinzi, manake nimewapa nafasi nyinyi mkazungumza yenu. South Africa wameenda maandamano, hakukuwa na umwagikaji wa damu. Kwa nini iwe
Member for Mombasa, order. Honorable Pukose, what is your point of order?
Mheshimiwa Spika, nasimama kwa hoja nambari 91 ya nidhamu kwamba Mheshimiwa Samsam lazima apeane ile tunasema ukweli ya mambo, kwa sababu anapoongea kitu cha kwanza amesema kwamba wajumbe hawajakula mshahara kwa zaidi ya mwezi moja. Na mimi najua wiki iliyopita Alhamisi nililipwa kama mjumbe. Sijui yeye hakulipwa ama alilipwa. La pili amesema kwamba wale watu waliokufa katika maandamano waliwawa na polisi. Ningependa yeye athibitishe hilo, Madam Speaker. Asante.
Asante Mheshimiwa Zamzam.
Nataka niendelee.
Tufuate kanuni zetu. Kama uko na jambo la kusema unadhibitisha kama hilo ambalo umeweza kutoa.
Nafuata kanuni. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Order. Honorable Catherine Omanyo, you will not shout across the aisle. Let us debate in decorum. Honorable Zamzam, please continue.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Na mimi nataka kusema hivi, kama yeye pengine hata wafanyikazi wa ofisi mimi wangu toka February bado hawajalipwa mpaka sasa. Na mimi nataka kusema hivi,
Leader of majority, what is your point of order?
I think, Honorable Speaker, we are a house of rules,
Honorable Zamzam, take your seat.
We are a house of rules, Honorable Speaker. And when a member rises on a point of order, Honorable Speaker, and the Honorable Pukose rose on standing order number 91 and asked the member to substantiate, and she has not substantiated. And Honorable Speaker, I am not raising this just about the Honorable Zamzam. It has become a habit that you say something careless and you do not substantiate, and neither do you withdraw. And I think it's only procedural that if the Honorable Zamzam cannot substantiate that all the people, including the policeman from Nyamira County who was killed in Kisumu by a stone thrown from a ceiling, if that police officer was killed by another policeman, then if she cannot...
There will not be a point of order on another point of order. We are a house of debates and rules, and we have standing orders to follow. Honorable Zamzam,
asante sana.
Give Honorable Zamzam a chance to either substantiate those matters or withdraw.
Kwanza mimi nataka wao kwanza waweze kusema, kwa sababu wewe majority leader ulisema katika handshake ndio pesa zilibadhiriwa. Mimi nataka niwaulize, Raila alikuwa anacheza role gani kwenye kuchukua pesa, kwenye kukopa pesa? Mje mtueleze hapa. Na mimi nataka kusema hivi, mshahara wangu mimi juzi tarehe 8 ndio mimi nimeona. Wote walipata tarehe 8? mashinani. Mshahara ulichelewa, tuambizane ukweli, na hata saizi wafanyikazi kule mashinani, wafanyikazi wa serikali hawajalipwa. Tuache kuficha uchi. Mficha uchi hazai. Mficha uchi hazai, Bwana Spika.
Mheshimiwa Zamzam, nimekusikiza kwa makini. Nafikiri ni vizuri useme vilivyo. Kama ulisema mshahara imechelewa, hilo ni sawa, lakini haijachelewa zaidi ya mwezi mmoja. Ni vizuri tuweke mambo vile ilivyo. Tafadhali tufuate kanuni zetu na tutoe mambo ambayo ni ya ukweli na ambayo inaweza kudhibitishwa kwenye bunge.
Asante Spika. Mshahara ulichelewa na wafanyikazi wa kaunti mpaka sasa pia ni wa serikali na wengi hawajalipwa. Tusiseme sisi wabunge pekee yetu, Kenya iko katika hali tata sana. Na mimi ningependa pia kuelezea wenzangu, tuangalie, tuchuje maneno kule nje tunayozungumza, ama tutaweka Kenya kwenye moto mkubwa sana. Mambo yakitulia kutulizwa yatulizwe. Sisi hatukuelezea viongozi wetu waweze kukutana waongee. Waliamua wenyewe, tuwape heshima, wakae chini wazungumze, tuache kurusha maneno ovyo ovyo huko nje. Na leader of majority
Order members, your time is up. Order. We will now hear the MP for Manyata, Honorable Tonga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would really kindly request Honorable Speaker to call the House to order.
Order. Leader of majority. Order members. Order Honorable Kagombe, resume your seat. Honorable Kamene, Honorable Zamzam, Honorable Atandi, let us maintain decorum. Leader of majority, please do not bother those ladies. Just leave them alone. We will now hear the member for Manyata. Let us maintain decorum. Honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, I would like to say that we are not doing this motion a service, because, Honorable Speaker, this is a very serious motion and Kenyans are watching. I would like to say that, Honorable Speaker, yes, it is true that there is a challenge with our economy today. And, Honorable Speaker, I have been going through the mathematics of what KRA is talking about when it comes to collection. And it is obvious, Honorable Speaker, when salaries are paid by government, we have to collect taxes. And, Honorable Speaker, the collection of tax, especially income tax, is something that is done 1 year after the company and individuals have made money. Honorable Speaker, looking at the collection of tax for this first 6 months since the government was in place, KRA has been able to collect 768 billion Kenya shillings in 5 months. That is short of their target of 818 billion, Honorable Speaker. The shortfall is because many companies and many institutions have not been making profit, simply because of many reasons that all of us, and especially our finance chair, has clearly indicated. But, Honorable Speaker, I would like to call upon us as this House. I am very keen to hear ideas, and better ideas for that matter, that can help this country be able to achieve its target in terms of tax collection. And it is true, we have to face the reality that there is a challenge and the cost of living is high. But it is not right for opposition members to come out and try to show like this country is closing down. We have a government that is in place and that has strategy to ensure that we get somewhere. This problem has accumulated for a number of years, and many of the speakers have said that. But I am happy to hear His Excellency the President calling it like it is. Many people would like to be lied to, that things are better. But it is true that we need to tighten our belts. And Honorable Speaker, I would like the opposition to lead by example. Let them even form what we call shadow cabinet ministers, so that we can have them having good ideas that are better than ours.
Order, members. Member from Thiwa, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I respect the Speaker, but is it in order to refer to this bench, this side, as opposition when we really know for clarity that we have presidential system? You are supposed to oversight the government. So can he be educated on that? That there's no opposition politics on this. Thank you.
Honorable John Gitonga, the minority side. There can only be the minority side in the House.
Honorable Speaker, and that's why I'm saying we are really not doing this motion a service. Because what is the main difference between minority and opposition? It's the same thing. They oppose everything that we say. And that's why I'm calling them opposition members, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am very keen to actually have everybody on board when it comes to this issue. And I'm happy that we are having bipartisan talks that can, if they are taken serious by the opposition, they can actually bring something that they have themselves contributed and be able to bring some things better. But we need to tell the Kenyans the truth, that as far as the issue of the cost of living, we have to tighten our belts. Let's not continue digging a hole of debt.
Your time is up. The Deputy Majority Leader, Honorable Owen Baya.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I also want to thank the Honorable Pio Wandai for bringing this motion. But Honorable Wandai should have thought also about that taxes, revenue, when well paid, actually bring down the cost of living. But then we know people in this country who have refused to pay taxes, who always want to look the other way, who have big farms, big properties that they're not using for anything for production, and yet they don't want to pay taxes for those. The people who sponsor the mandamanos that we have. Honorable Speaker, this is when we need to face the real facts. Why is this country in the hole that it is in? It is in the hole that is in because some people have refused to pay taxes.
Honorable Opio Wandai.
Madam Speaker, we need decorum in this house. What has my motion got to do with
taxes?
People who are evading taxes?
Of course.
And yet, what has my motion to do with people who are demonstrating?
Of course.
Whilst exercising their right under Article 37 of the Constitution.
Thank you. Thank you.
And more importantly, Madam Speaker,
thank you.
Can you compel the Honorable Owen Baya?
I will substantiate.
To name the person who is financing the Mandamanus?
I will substantiate.
Here and now.
I will substantiate.
Otherwise, he withdraws and apologizes.
I will.
Thank you.
But if revenue is not paid, salaries will not be there. If revenue is not paid, we will not be able to give farmers production subsidies. If revenue is not there, this country will not meet its target. It will not pay the heavy debts that the handshake regime brought into this country, the revenue. And I want to say that it is on record, and there is even an act of parliament here that says that certain families be prevented from being recused from paying taxes. It is in this house. And it is those things that have put this country in a hole. And this government What we are saying is we want to finance this government, the operations of this government, through local revenue. And local revenue will come from the big farms. Local revenue will come from those people who have for many years evaded to pay taxes because they're in power. We are saying this government will fix this economy using local revenue. Secondly, Madam Speaker, we know this country is in debt. If you ask the CS for Finance today, he will tell you that we have the first charge on government is to pay debt. Today, we must pay the debts which were taken to pay Helios. Today, we must pay the debts that were taken to pay for KEMSA. Today, we must get money to ensure that we pay for the things that were taken. We saw the budget here, and we saw that this government lost a lot of money. Where will the government pay for these international debts? It is the first charge on the budget. The first charge on the budget means first we have to pay debts before we start thinking of paying salaries. And that is what economics is about government. So today, if someone here says we have not been paid salary, you should ask those people who took those many loans, those big loans, how are they expecting them to be paid first? Secondly, including subsidies. Subsidies were paid, but the people who were supposed to have been paid never received the money. And those are facts. Today we are paying debts. If you ask the finance minister, he will tell you the first charge on budget is to pay international obligations. So when international obligations are paid, you make noise. Why do you make noise? And Opio and I, the Honorable Opio and I, the Honorable Leader of Minority, was here defending the handshake regime. Today you come here and say, you know, with cost of living, Madam Speaker, will continue to skyrocket. I want to hear his point of order.
Actually, the point of order was raised by Honorable Mboi. Honorable Robert Mboi.
Mboi, he's my equal. He's my equal. You wait.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Sit down.
Madam Speaker, I've listened very keenly to the Deputy Leader of the Majority, and he keeps referring to the handshake regime. Madam Speaker, the last regime, as far as all of us know, and the records are there, was a Jubilee regime, led by Uhuru Kenyatta, deputized by William Samoei Ruto. Which is this handshake regime that ran this country?
I will substantiate.
There was a cabinet. Raila was not part of it.
I will substantiate.
Why do you keep saying, why do you keep putting us
I will substantiate.
Order members. You cannot have two members on their feet. When you have a point of order,
thank you.
You sit.
But my mic is still on.
Yes.
Can I substantiate?
Honorable
Speaker, the chairperson of the Finance and Planning Committee in this Parliament, the person who brought the finance bill in this Parliament, was none other than the Honorable Governor Gladys Wanga. She belonged to the ODM. All the money collected was brought in by one person who was a member who was in the ODM. That is the handshake. Finance Committee, led now by the Honorable Kuria here, will show you how to do things. And that is how we are going to bring the cost of living in this country down. So I want to say this. When I see Rosa Buyu here, she makes me want to speak more. So I want to say this. Honorable Speaker, hard decisions must be taken. Hard decisions must be taken. And these hard decisions...
What is your point of order, Honorable Opio and I?
Opio and I, please add me 2 minutes.
Madam Speaker,
2 minutes.
I really plead with you to ensure that this House maintains decorum. Madam Speaker, even though I may understand the obsession that my good friend Owen Baya has with the so-called past regime, we must not misrepresent facts. He has just been on record that I was here in the last Parliament defending the so-called handshake regime. Madam Speaker, nothing could be further from the truth. Madam Speaker, in the last Parliament, which I served, Madam Speaker, you know I've got a stellar record in this House. I was the chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee.
To debate on for
5 years, Madam Speaker. This is important, Madam Speaker. I was chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee, oversighting the accounts of the executive
Order members. Order members. Please don't use point of orders to debate. That is one. Please take your seats. Both of you, take your seats. Honorable Rosa Buyu, you have just walked in. We are not shouting. We are maintaining decorum in this house. Honorable Owen Bayer, you have a few seconds remaining. Standing order 33 does not allow any extra minutes. It is 5 minutes for every member, and there is no point of order on a point of order. Please, Honorable Owen Bayer.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I would like to state this. Without subsidies, the cost of unga is now coming down. Without subsidies, the dollar is coming down. Without subsidies, the cost of living is coming down gradually. We shall get there, Madam Speaker. This government led by William Ruto will get things down.
What is your point of order, Honorable Pukose?
Please add me my seconds.
Madam Speaker, Honorable Opiyo Wandayi has just claimed that he had a stellar record in this house. This house records will show that
Honorable Pukose, you are out of order. Honorable Opiyo Wandayi has already taken his seat. Honorable Owen Bayer is on his feet.
Madam Speaker, without much ado, this government has secured fuel purchase agreement that will use the Kenya shillings, not the dollar. We are de-dollarizing this economy. This government has a plan that will change things. And Kenyans need to have hope, and we want to give them hope that the government of William Samoei Ruto will bring the cost of living down within.
Order members. Member Honorable CNN Ngusia.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I've been waiting for long. Thank you very much. Let me begin by saying success of this government is success for all of us Kenyans. That is true. I am happy the government has acknowledged that every Kenyan across the divide is suffering because of high cost of living. Madam Speaker, I'm not here to apportion blame to anybody. We need to find solutions, and I am here to give the following solutions. Because the leader of majority has encouraged us to give the government on measures we can do to fix this country socially, economically, and politically. Number one, the government itself, it's eating itself by roadside declarations. Every time the CS opens a mouth, or rather the Deputy President opens a mouth, he will always say this that we cannot actually do, and that is eroding investors' confidence in this country. Number two, stop bloated executive. Bloated executive. 50 CSs will not sort out this problem. We need less than actually 20 of them, because they are constitutionally not empowered to do anything, or rather to add anything economically. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, sorry. Stop unnecessary travel expenditures we have been witnessing of late. And we are claiming we don't have money to pay salaries. The other issue, introduce tax incentives to our investors coming to this country. Madam Speaker, we should never, and we should not even tolerate one day to delay even salaries for civil servants one day, because these civil servants have got mortgages, they have got loans to pay. If we are doing so, we are going to erode what we call institutions' confidence to give our civil servants loans and this kind of mortgages, Madam Speaker. So We are here. The government, actually, the last thing should do is to tell us, brace yourself for tough measures, for tough times. Give us solution on how we are going to pay salaries timely, Madam Speaker. With those few remarks, I want to say, let us fix our economy, but while giving the Kenya Kwanza time to do this, we also need to come and reason together. And one of the things which have really actually caused mess in this country is these demonstrations. We need to agree on the ideas we have given. One, open server. We fix the country politically. Number two, open the server. We know the political truth about it. Yes. Number two, let us stop chesithabing. Listen to all the leaders, because you cannot ignore 6.9 million voters compared to 7.1. And by doing so, we want success for this government, and success, and I'm praying Kenya Kwanza to succeed in matters of handling the economic affairs of this country. And with those few remarks, if we go through this way, we are going to fix Kenya socially, economically, and politically. Thank you.
Member for Kericho, Honorable Beatrice Kemei. If you're not willing to speak to this, we'll give the member for Sotik, Honorable Francis Sigei.
She is ready to speak.
I'm ready, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to appreciate first the debate that we have today concerning the economy of this country. And to start with, Madam Speaker, I want to tell the members that this economy, it is the responsibility of all of us to make sure that the economy improves. And for this to happen, Madam Speaker, I would request that those who have not paid their taxes should be in a position to pay, because that is the only way we can have revenue, and that is the only way salaries can be paid. Madam Speaker, this is not actually the first time salaries have delayed, and those who are saying it has delayed for a month, it is not true, Madam Speaker. And our people understand. It is us who should be able to explain to them, because we need the economy to improve. Paying actually our debts is the responsibility of the government, and I wonder why the minority team is making noise. Yet when we talked of the last regime, during that time, Madam Speaker, the handshake is what actually caused the cost of living to go up. And today, I must confess that the economy will definitely improve when all of us come together, pay our taxes. And then, Madam Speaker, I would also say that when we talk about the unga issue, people have gone to the farms, they have planted, and I believe come the next few months, we will have enough food in the store for ourselves, and even surplus to sell, Madam Speaker. And I know that is when our economy will actually improve. So I want to support that motion by telling my dear brother, the leader of minority, that things will improve. Just be silent, just watch, and just support, and know that this government need all of us. They need our support. And what I can also say is that there are so many other ways we can help our people. Madam Speaker, back home, there are people who have not planned it. I wonder how many of us can go outside, can go an extra mile and help our people, support them. We have so many who are not in a position even to buy the seeds or the maize seeds. We even have those who cannot afford to buy the subsidized fertilizers. And members of this house, I request that we support our people back in the village, and once we support them, I know they will have something on the table, and next time we will be able to have our things improve. So once more, Madam Speaker, I say that the economy, given time, it will definitely improve. And I would also pray that as we discuss all this, let's not take it personal. At the same time, I would want to ask our members to ask themselves, what is our plan for the next few months? What is the plan of all of us? Because if we actually discuss and then we're not giving a way forward, then we are missing the link. But paying international debts is very, very important. We wouldn't want to dig more holes. We cannot borrow to pay salaries, we cannot borrow to pay debts. It is better to pay the debts that are international. And within no time, I know things will improve. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support.
Thank you. I had already called Honorable Francis Igay to make your...
Madam Speaker, I think, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on this very important motion. And I would like to thank my friend Opio and I for bringing this motion. Madam Speaker, this motion is actually giving us an opportunity, which the President told us today, that we must bring issues which can assist this country to bring the cost of living down. And Mr. Opio and I, thank you very much. I would like you to go further and tell us how you would like this government to bring the cost of living down, because we want suggestions so that we can move forward. Number two, Madam Speaker, I would like to ask for candid discussion on issues affecting this country. Madam Speaker.
Honorable Opio and I, what's your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I was keenly listening to my good friend, Honorable Sigay. You know, he's a former PC, a very respectable personality in our country. He asked me to give suggestions on how we can go about improving the situation. You know, I'm very glad and willing, Madam Speaker, if you give me just 2 minutes to explain.
Honorable Andai, you know that is not possible. You have already prosecuted the moving of this motion. Please give Honorable Sigay the chance to finish.
I want to be saved from my friend here because he's trying to harass me. Madam Speaker, I think what we should ask ourselves is, what are we doing as members of Parliament? The other day, Madam Speaker, we saw the President in Suway driving a tractor and going to produce maize. So what are we doing as members of Parliament? The other day, last week, I was in Sotik, and I was asking my people to plant maize so that those who are demonstrating can be able to be sold the maize we are doing in Sotik. And they have done very well. In fact, the problem I had in Sotik was about fertilizers. We really short of fertilizers. I can assure you, Madam Speaker, that from Sotik you will get maize at a very low price. And therefore, we will now bring the cost of living down. Madam Speaker, we have been told that the President and this government is actually bringing in measures to look at the taxation regime so that people can be assisted. There are necessary taxes in this country, and I'm very sure we are going to see many things. I think it is patience we require from our friends from the opposition, and we must work together. And Madam Speaker, I would like to urge ourselves as members of Parliament to stop shouting at each other. I think we must stop. We must now discuss with sanity and stop shouting at somebody who is trying to bring in some constructive issues. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I want to stand here and support the President. The President and this government has a plan. And the only thing to do is support constructively. If you have issues, let us bring it to Parliament. And Madam Speaker, I want to say that I'm a very proud man today, that we stopped the demonstration with the other people from the other side, and now we are discussing issues. And I would like us to now come to Parliament and bring even these other issues which we have discussed and which you brought, and we now have people, committee members who are willing to discuss issues. Madam Speaker, this country belongs to all of us, and I would like to see some serious discussion here on how we can make this country grow. Madam Speaker, I support this motion, and I would like everybody to support this motion so that we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank my minority leader for bringing this motion to the floor of the House. And Honorable Speaker, if the majority leader would have been here, I would have first of all reminded him that the majority leader, that the difference between the current regime and current government is the spelling. Yes. So it is not right when he tells us that those are two different things. Honorable Speaker, I just want to paint the picture, because we are treating this matter in a very casual approach, and yet our country is going through a very dire situation. Our current, if you look at the debt service expense for the previous financial year, it stood at 6.8 billion. Right now, we are looking at the month of February 2023, and it's already at 10.4 billion. That's number one. Number two, KRA, Honorable Speaker, protect me from the people who are speaking from across the aisle. KRA has missed its target for the last 6 months. Honorable Speaker, the government wage bill, which stands at 335.3 billion, 210 billion of this is only what has been paid. And Honorable Speaker, I just want to say that right now we are in a space where...
Order. What's your point of order, Honorable Owen?
Honorable Speaker, it's very nice to use statistics, but it's also important for you to disclose source of statistics, so that as you discuss your statistics, they are either factual or they are created. I would like the statistics to be pegged on a source, so that is it the Kenya Bureau of Statistics report? Is it, what report? Where are these statistics from?
We've had the Honorable Owen. Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable.
As you debate, you also adhere to Standing Order 91. Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would just like to tell the Honorable Member that these are statistics that are available at just a touch of Google. And as a professional accountant, I cannot stand in front of people and speak of things that I'm not sure of. Honorable Speaker, what I'm trying to say here is that we are treating this matter so casually, and yet at the moment we are operating like we are feeding from hand to mouth, which is a very dangerous situation. Honorable Speaker, this is a government that came into place and promised that they will consider the hustlers. They even went ahead and had a hustler fund in place. Honorable Speaker, some of the amounts that people get from these hustler funds, and I've heard it from even my people from Nyamira, is that they cannot even put that money into a multi-bet and make money out of it. The situation is dire. We are having Kenyans who cannot even afford a meal a day. And I just want to say this, Honorable Speaker, and for me it's a professional advice to this government, because you cannot keep on talking about that you inherited a government that had dire coffers. Mwai Kibaki, when he came into this government, he inherited a worse government. But that is one president who, by the time he was leaving, in this country we had unsecured loans that allowed Kenyans to be able to invest further. Honorable Speaker, I want to tell you that right now, Honorable Speaker, right now, there is something called an infrastructure bond. 2 years ago, Kenyans would run to banks to take this up and invest in infrastructure bonds. But right now, Central Bank is even increasing this to 14.3% because people are not taking this up. And that tells you that we have very dire issues. And so my advice to this government, and I just want to say, and I can see the chairman of finance is here, and I'd like for him to listen to me, is that you need to do a SWOT analysis into 5 main issues. Number 1, what are the causes of the economic deterioration in this country? Number 2, What is the impact on citizens that you're having to this country? Number 3, review policy responses that you have in this case. And can you, in fact, go into the debt restructuring and look at anti-corruption issues? Number 4, oversight as Parliament, Finance Department, you need to look at the audit trails in this government. You need to look at the wasteful nature of how people are spending money. And finally, Honorable Speaker, I just want to encourage this government to engage in public participation. Otherwise, from where I sit, I want to start praying for the hustlers every day.
Thank you. Your time is up. Honorable David Gekaria.
Asante sana, Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me start by, by saying we appreciate the former leader of minority, Honorable John Bandi. And Honorable John Bandi was he was more professional, and he spoke as a professional. And he accepted facts as they are. Does the current president accept there is a problem in the country? Yes, he's saying there is a problem. And this problem, I have a roadmap on how I'm going to settle it. Honorable Speaker, a few of our leaders, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, gave us a talk sometimes, and he's saying, we found this country in a hole. And they are trying to get us from that hole. But other people are trying to tell us we go back there and dig deeper. The president himself, in his own words, says we were walking towards a cliff. And now we were working on ways to be able, and these ways have already been explained in a very precise and accurate manner by none other than the Chair of Finance, on the procedure and the process that the President and his government have put in place. It is true that most of these things which are being said are there, and it is a fact, yes, they are there. But I think for a country that we need to bring together is for us to agree on the best way forward. Because when the cost of living is high, it is not only high for the supporters of the minority people, it also affects the supporters on the other side. So it is our responsibility as a country, as leaders, to be able to bring these things together. Honorable Pio and I, we appreciate what you've brought today, this evening, for us to be able to sit and deliberate. And I totally agree with you, the minority leader, that yes, there are problems, but as even yourself as a person, if you have a business, and that business is a going concern, as you're saying, then you can only be able to pay your workers out of the profits that you get from your going concern business. But now how then do you want to tell us that this is a going concerned company, but you are making losses and you have to go and borrow money to come and meet the recurrent expenditure? It's not possible. So I don't want to labor on the procedure and the way we are supposed, because, Honorable Speaker, the process that was being taken by a few, the minority side or the leader or the other side, it is a way that was taking us back to very dangerous direction. And we kept quiet because we are in government and we have to show leadership. But at the same time, that did not mean that we could also not be able to counter whatever they were doing. But again, as leaders and as people who have been given that responsibility, we have listened to our leaders. And the KK has put it very clearly. They want us to continue subsidizing consumption. And it is not sustainable. It is not possible. And we cannot continue that. And the president has made it very clear that he has to go with, as per the law and the constitutionality of this country, to be able either to borrow or to be able to do whatever he's supposed to do as a president, for him to be able to clear the. So, Honorable Speaker, it is unfortunate that, yes, opposition and the majority leaders indicated to the minority leader, whatever proposal you have positive that can be able to bring some positive changes into the lives of Kenyans, you are welcome to bring it through the finance bill that will be coming soon. And the finance chair has equally admitted that whatever good is there from the other side, he is going to bring it on board and be able to prosecute for the benefit. And I totally agree with the finance chair. We cannot continue increasing taxes, purporting that we are going to, the revenue is going to increase. It is the vice versa. And I like the chair of finance, who is a CPA holder, that he has fact.
Honorable Gikaria, your time is up. Honorable Martin Owino, aka Ward Chief.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank my minority leader for bringing this. Honorable Baya, this is a very important motion, and as we speak, Madam Speaker, it's true. Some of Kenyans are going to sleep on empty stomach. Some of students will go to school tomorrow without anything in their stomach. So this is a very important motion to debate on. Number one, I think when you have a problem, talk less, do more. That is very important. And listen also. Like now we are offering some solutions. We had Kazi Mutahani. This used to take money to the youth in the rural areas. Reinstate that program. Number two, actually this is better than hiring people who do not need employment. Like 50 years, they don't need it. Take that money to Mashinani. Number two, it is in the Constitution that we give county governments. We give county government 15%. Why don't we give them immediately we collect our taxes? Because that is where now the hunger really bites the people. Some have not even received their money since October. And this is the money that goes down up to the kiosks, through salaries, through contracts. If we do that, we will save the people. Let's not wait until we think we have the money. No, the Constitution is very clear, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker. If you collect 15%, should go straight to the county government. Number three, we have an expensive education system, which we are changing every day and perfecting none. The introduction of junior. Some parents have kids in high school. Now you add on to them another uniform, another this and that. They can't. Some kids are being sent home, and you have had some committing suicide, some accidents. These are uncalled for, putting more pressure on parents for no good reason. There is also the issue of food security. Madam Speaker, this is unspeakable. Why should we have gross appetite for importation? Now we have rain coming in large numbers, but we are collecting none. We have a situation that we can't depend on the weather. We have to irrigate our food and become food sufficient. What are we doing there? I understand, Honorable Baya, we do not need Zambian food. Let us grow food here and feed our people. A government, we cannot feed the people, is not a government too. Now, lack of priority setting. You know, if you don't have much, actually let me say it in another way. Collecting taxes is one way, but using those taxes that you have collected, Chair of Finance, you are leaving, you should collect taxes. Yes, get whatever you can get, but have a priority spending so that you can get your priority right. Right now, we are spending on employment, we are spending on cars. In fact, I admire the president of Zambia, who could not sign. I'm not moving there. I'm a Kenyan. He did not sign any voucher for more cars because he had cars. Why don't we tame our spending because we don't have much taxation? I mean, don't have much revenue coming in. So expenditure discipline is very important. Lastly, you cannot solve a problem if you don't understand it. Please take time to understand what Kenyans are going through. Talk less, but I want to say this. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Kiamba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to such important motion that is affecting the whole Republic and the people of Kenya, so that we can be able to substantiate facts and lies as well. Madam Speaker, I think this motion, and I really want to congratulate the Leader of Minority for bringing the attention of the government and also the side of the minority, so that we can discuss and debate on measures that we are going to take and what has brought us here as a country. Because it's also very important to take restock and also consider where we are coming from. Some of the issues that today have affected our country in such a big way is the issue of, the handshake brothers. Because the then opposition was not able to oversight the government the way it was supposed to have done, Madam Speaker. They were not doing their role as they are doing right now. And I think that's why we all agree that it is important for us to leave maandamano and streets and come to the floor of the House and prosecute and oversight the government, so that they can make sure that the government is doing what it's supposed to be doing currently, Madam Speaker. The issue of debt, and I thank His Excellency the President, because he spoke very well today. And he said, we cannot continue borrowing and digging holes and making sure that we're not moving our country forward. And he said one of the measures that we are going to take is that we are not going to borrow only current expenditure. And that's what has been happening in this case, Madam Speaker. He stated, because we're in the executive and we are owning up, if there are issues, the high cost of living, we are owning up, Madam Speaker. And he said the deficit that was there in 2022-2023 budget was about 800 billion. But 250 billion was also realized that was not accounted for, and it was not declared in the budget, Madam Speaker. And therefore, he has really done what he is supposed to be doing, and making sure that he's not going to borrow. And we have reduced the amount of money that we are supposed to have borrowed 2022-2023 to a tune of about 300 billion, Madam Speaker. These people can only wait. And because they realized that the trajectory that the Kenya Kwanza government is taking is to take this country to the next level, is to move from the shandles of our debts, and also make sure that we are self-sustaining as a country, Madam Speaker. And therefore, we can only ask the minority side to support the government, to leave the streets, to go back and start building this country in terms of making sure that we respect the businesses of other Kenyans who are trying as much as they can to rebuild our country, Madam Speaker, after serious and vigorous campaign that we had in 2022, Madam Speaker. The cost of living, we cannot run away from it. But for sure, we have seen what the government has been able to do to actually bring the cost of unga, that when we took over the government as Kenya Kwanza, was about 250. And today, if you go to our stores, Madam Speaker, you realize that the cost of unga has dropped to about 180, Madam Speaker. And therefore, that's what we call progress. And it's only 6 months, Madam Speaker. The salaries have been delayed. For sure, it is true, it has never happened. But the President said, it is better for us to live within our means. If there are going to be issues to do with planting and making sure that we subsidize the production in terms of maize production, Madam Speaker. And we have seen the President is setting an example. It is the rainy season. We need to go back again to our farms, plant maize, plant food, plant local food, so that we can be able to feed ourselves and feed our neighbors and feed our country, Madam Speaker. Therefore, the work of the opposition is to oversight the government. And we really appreciate what the minority side is doing currently, Madam Speaker. The issue of subsidies, it's something that we have stopped. The issue of dollar rate going up, and also making sure that the kind of imports that we have been importing, Madam Speaker, we have been able to deal with in terms of the exchange rates that we have been receiving from the banks. And the president has assured us today that in the next maybe 2 or so months, that the dollar is going to come down to about 115 shillings. That's what we call the plan. And it is high time the opposition to sit down. Give us time. Within the next 1 year or 2 years, this country will be a different country, Madam Speaker. And therefore, the issue of rate payments, the issue of pending bills, I think that's what the government and the president is dealing with, and we can only tell the Kenyan.
Thank you. Your time is up. The member for Chepalungu.